Welcome into Illini Drive. It is Alec Busse along with our regular Thursday crew now. We've got Gabby Hajduk on the buttons producing. I was going to try and come up with a better word, but I couldn't come up with a better word than buttons. Nithin, how are you today?
Fantastic.
Are you doing well?
I'm doing great.
Carson?
Same. Doing pretty good.
I'm very stressed. I have a really busy next couple of days. Well, I've got a CS 105 exam tomorrow that every single practice exam except one that I've taken, I've gotten a D or worse on. So, yeah, it's not. Then I have an exam on Tuesday in an RST class. I have a paper due tomorrow night. I have a paper due Thursday. Then there's the game tonight. Then there's the game Sunday. And then I have this really big date event for my fraternity on Saturday. So, yeah, I'm kind of busy. I'm actually very busy, which is really kind of stressful. But we'll get through it, and I'll probably do better than I expect to on the exams. So we're going to be all right. Anyway, Illinois basketball tonight takes on the Wildcats. That's school up north.
Yeah. Okay.
Gabby is freaking out over here behind the buttons, behind the board.
Okay, well, Nithin's microphone. Just keep talking.
She sounded like the Whisper girl from Pitch Perfect. She said, "This microphone's not working." She was like whispering, just like that girl. That's a very underrated movie, by the way. Oh, she's trying it again.
No.
She's trying it again. Oh no.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties.
Can you do your whisper thing again?
No.
Hey, does this count as a raunchy start to the episode?
I swear to God, Alec, if you use the word raunchy again, this is a raunchy start.
Yes!
It's a difficult start, not a raunchy start.
Okay, Nithin's over by me now because his microphone wasn't working, and I was trying to nonchalantly figure it out. But, of course, Alec has to expose me.
Well, of course.
Well, sorry, I'm just trying to, keep the flow of the show going.
Should I tell the story from before the show?
What story?
The one about how you're, scary and how you feel like you could beat up Brendan.
I didn't say I could feel like I could beat up Brendan. I said that.
You could physically harm him.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
It came out of your mouth.
No. Okay.
Can we get Brendan to comment on the Monday show about this, please?
Sure. You
All
can
right.
come in.
I want the comment. I want the rebuttal.
He knows I'm scary, but I'm not going to beat Brendan up. I told you I can't beat Brendan up. I just said I could do some harm to him if he watches The Bachelor without me when I'm gone in Florida. That's the context. Let's not take it out of anything, Alec, okay?
Well, I feel like Brendan could probably defend himself.
He could, but he won't. He's not going to fight back.
I mean, he could.
If he's mad at me that day, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
Anyway,
Shout out Brendan.
Yeah, Brendan, you're a big teddy bear. We all love you. And you do a great job on the Wednesday show. Anyway, Illinois plays Northwestern tonight in Evanston. Illinois is obviously 18-9 overall in the season, 10-6 in the Big Ten, which is good enough for third place right now. Northwestern not having the greatest sports season for football or basketball. Their football team won, I think, 2 Big Ten games. One of them obviously was against Illinois, much to the dismay of Illini fans. Their basketball team currently has just 1 Big Ten win. They're 6-20 overall. Good enough for 14th in the Big Ten. So, guys, expectations going into tonight.
I like how you say good enough for 14th in the Big Ten.
Well, it's probably going to expand at some point, right?
I don't know. I don't think it is. Oh, I guess eventually.
The Big Ten?
Here's a fun conversation before we get into the preview. If you could remove one school from the Big Ten and add another school in their place, who would you get rid of and who would you add?
I'd add Notre Dame and
Rutgers. Ewy.
Oh, Notre Dame would be an electric school to add. What do you mean?
I don't like Notre Dame, though.
I know, but come on, it's like the football powerhouse. You know how much they would bring?
I feel like
academics too.
What is the eye roll? The academics
I don't like
for
Notre Dame. I don't like Notre Dame. I would probably take out Rutgers.
They bring in the New York money though. That's
no,
the thing.
they don't.
Yeah, I don't see the point of Rutgers. Sorry, Rutgers.
You're kind of just irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've been more relevant in basketball this season, but other than that, who is Rutgers? I don't know.
The Scarlet Knights.
And that's lame in itself. So
The founders of college football.
I don't like the Scarlet. I don't like that name.
All right, so who would you add in their place?
I don't know. Maybe like Mizzou.
No, I was literally.
See, now
gonna say,
Mizzou
don't say
Mizzou
But,
doesn't
like,
work. They don't qualify academically.
Yeah, the APR. I'm
Okay,
surprised
well,
Nebraska did it.
sports-wise, I would add Mizzou just because there's rivalry there and they're
I agree.
solid.
I agree. I think Mizzou makes a lot of sense.
Nothing.
I mean, I think I agree with you guys about Rutgers. I was gonna say like Kansas, but yeah, they probably don't qualify.
That'd be
academically.
fun though.
That would be fun, especially for basketball.
What about Virginia?
No.
No, that's too.
Why?
That's too far east. That's
It's
like
right near Maryland.
yeah, Maryland's pretty far east too.
All right.
Let's get away from the East Coast.
Person said, "All right, fine."
Carson's a little sassy.
No.
No.
I'm
Not the right
I'm-
time.
I'm pretty cookie cutter.
Cookie cutter. Wow. That's a good word choice there, Carson.
Don't try and steal my words, Shine. Gosh.
Have you put it in an article yet?
With raunchy? No, Alec, I haven't.
Can you please?
No. If you find a way that I can work in raunchy normally into an article,
Let's
You'll-
vote on it right now. All right, who's in favor? Who's in favor of Gabby putting raunchy in her next article? Aye.
I'll send me your recap tonight, and I'll find you a place to insert the word raunchy.
I'm not putting it in. And
What about handsy?
You guys
I like
are-
that word too.
handsy.
No.
Trent gets handsy with Northwestern.
No.
Carson,
No way, no way.
No, not the right context.
that is
Carson,
not
no.
in the same
Okay.
realm of
I'm
anything.
joking.
Carson's
No.
only saying he's joking now because we all.
Oh my God, no! Come on.
Now we're all in trouble. Carson, way to go.
Carson's like, let's get. No. Although I do have to say that next night after when I went in the sauna, it was not raunchy. There
What?
were no raunchy people in the sauna that night.
So the people are what made the sauna raunchy.
Yes.
I think that's with a bunch of things in life. It's like, what's the client?
You can really take it like holistically as like a life lesson. I feel like we're hating on Carson right now. We'll stop. Okay, let's
All right,
talk
I
about
want a new
basketball.
segment on Thursdays called Life Lessons with Gabby.
Okay.
Because
I'm
that might
so
be fun.
good. I'm so
That
good.
might be fun.
I'm so old and wise.
All right, what's your word of the day then?
I don't. Let me think. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, after the break.
Is it not handsy now?
It might be handsy. I don't know. I kind of like that one. Okay. Let's talk about basketball because I
Okay.
have some stuff I want to say.
Yeah, I do too. All right, so finally we're actually going to preview this, and if we don't get distracted again. So, with the win, Illinois would tie Maryland for the most Big Ten road wins at 5 in the Big Ten. Obviously, Illinois went on the road and beat Wisconsin, Michigan, Purdue, and Penn State earlier this season. Guys, I feel good that Illinois is going to get their 5th Big Ten road win tonight. What about you guys?
They should, but like I don't trust this Illinois team to just like win by 20. You know, like we only beat Illinois only beat them by 4 at home. So like I don't know, Northwestern. Last time Illinois played Northwestern, the starters from Northwestern were playing really well. All of them scored like double digits. But the problem is they don't really have the depth. So I think as long as Illinois just plays a clean game, you know, I feel like they're going to eventually walk away with the victory.
I think it would be very alarming if if Illinois somehow lost this game.
Ugh.
I mean, Carson, you weren't here on Tuesday, but I was kind of saying how I think there's been a lack of like pushing our foot down bad teams' throats. Like the only team we really stomped over is Purdue.
Purdue twice.
And that was
yeah.
just kind of like craziness, but we didn't like really put the foot on Nebraska's neck the other night. And so I think it's huge just to like have a like convincing win. And every coach has said in the Big Ten, like you can't take any team, you can't look at any team differently. Like this league is really good, all 14 teams down, even though records don't necessarily show it. So I think I hope Illinois went in respecting their opponent and not thinking ahead to Indiana on Sunday. I think that's key for me is just they didn't have much time in between Nebraska and now, so I'm hoping they did their full scouting report and is respecting what the Wildcats can bring because they did give us a run for our money in Champaign when that was way earlier this
It
season.
was the first game they were ranked.
Yeah.
And I thought they'd be like dropped right after that.
So I think it's just you need to have a convincing game from like the start to the last minute. All 40 minutes, I need to be convinced that this team is gonna win this game.
For sure.
I mean, this is a team whose best player is probably a former lacrosse player that didn't really play basketball for 4 years. This should be a blowout win. I mean, I'd be disappointed if Illinois doesn't win by double digits, honestly.
Illinois always beats Northwestern. I think they're like 33-3 in the last 36 meetings or something. I remember looking at something. It just I don't know, like last year, I know last year was last year, but like there was close games. The Big Ten tournament went to overtime. Northwestern is a tricky team. Like, yeah, they don't have the great talent, but I still think Collins can coach. Like, they only lost to Michigan State by 4 at home.
Yeah, but like I mean that happens at times.
That's what I'm saying. So
they're 1-15 in conference play. Like at some point, as Gabby said, you have to just dominate a team, and you have to take over these matchups that Illinois should easily win.
Yeah, I mean, the tough part is that like Illinois, for whatever reason, has really struggled in Evanston or playing at a Northwestern home arena. Northwestern's actually won the last 2 times they've had a home game against Illinois. They beat Illinois January of 2019, 68-66. That was in Welsh Ryan. And then in 2017, that was the second most previous time Illinois played up in that area. That was when Welsh Ryan was under renovations, and Northwestern beat Illinois 72-68. So Illinois had problems going up there. I know those 2 Illinois teams were not as good as a lot of Illinois fans have expectations for, but it's still hard to win on the road in the Big Ten, and I think that's why it's important for Illinois to have a good showing tonight. I don't need to see him run out there and beat a team by 20.
Why though? Why you? I feel like you do need to see that. It's too hard
to beat a team on the road in the Big Ten by 20 points. Like,
okay, maybe not beat them by 20, but I will genuinely be upset if Northwestern ties it. I'm not talking about the
like
first
late,
couple minutes.
yeah.
I'm talking about like through the last
no, yeah.
like. Well, because that was what happened in the Nebraska game. They tied it up near the end of the first half and then again in the second half. Like, I don't necessarily need a 20-point victory. That'd be nice, but I
just want to see him cover.
I need lead by double digits most of the way.
Was it 6.5?
Yeah, it was 6.5.
Yeah,
So,
that
like,
needs to be covered.
If Illinois won like 61-52, how would you feel?
As long as they led the whole game and didn't tie, as long as it shouldn't really not pass the first, 7-8 minutes of play, because obviously that's different, than the rest of the game. But as I need to see, a largish, and by large, I mean, at least 8-point lead for most of the game.
The way that Illinois scores, though, it's not possible, I think, for them to blow people out. They won't score.
Yeah, Illinois has the worst 3-point shooting numbers in the Big Ten and the 12th worst 2-point shooting numbers in the Big Ten. The reason that they've won so many games is because they're defensive efficient. They have the number 1 scoring defense in the Big Ten. And Big Ten play.
I know, but obviously, but that's not they need to figure out a way to step up and be able to beat a team by a large chunk if they want to go far in the tournament, if they want to even go far in the Big Ten tournament.
I agree with you that Illinois needs to have a good start after the first 10 or so-ish minutes are gone. And Northwestern, in their last 4 games at halftime, they've trailed by an average of 14 points. Illinois doesn't need to be at 14 points or over 14 points at that point, but if you're hovering around there, I feel like you'd feel pretty good.
And they really haven't played well at all recently, aside from, I guess, the Rutgers game, but it's been blowout after blowout for Northwestern.
Yeah, Minnesota killed them.
Yeah, even
at Evanston.
Minnesota killed them, Penn State killed them, Michigan killed them. I mean, Maryland, surprisingly enough, a road game at Maryland was the closest game.
That's what Maryland does, though. They fooling around.
I mean, we saw it last night with Minnesota, but this Illinois team just needs to impose their will at some point. At some point, you don't have to be hitting 38% of your threes. You need to be allowing the team to score less than 55 points and then scoring 68, 69 on the other end.
I think there's a couple interesting keys going into tonight's game. I mentioned the getting a good start and being up by a certain amount by halftime, but I also think it's important for Illinois to play well against Northwestern's own defense. In the previous matchup earlier this season on January 11th, Northwestern ran his own defense against Illinois around 42% of the time, and that was actually a night that Illinois shot the ball fairly well. they made 9 threes, if I remember correctly, but they haven't made that many since. So it'd be important for me to see Illinois find a way to get some rhythm on the offensive end, especially if that means hitting a couple shots. And it's hard to shoot on the road in the Big Ten, but that's where you need your guys like Alan Griffin, who's been shooting like 41% since his suspension. You need Trent Frazier to continue to build off of his performance against Nebraska and hit a couple more threes and shoot at a little bit of a higher percentage than he did against Nebraska. But the way to beat zones is by shooting, and you can't rely on Io's pick and roll as much in a zone when you're going against a zone defense. And you can't rely on Kofi to have as much success in the paint against his own defense. I mean, Kofi struggled a little bit against Northwestern in terms of having a comfortability in the paint.
I would say you mentioned Trent, and I know we talked Tuesday about, just him getting that confidence back. I think he's a pretty big X factor for tonight for jumping out to a large lead and holding it. Because I think if you can get him going and then you have the consistency that Allen's brought, Io's brought, obviously Feliz can work his way inside no matter how big the defenders are. We've seen that. Get a little production out of Kofi. I think if you could get Trent going early, I think he's a big X factor just to have that, holistic night as a shooting team. I also, when you mentioned Allen's suspension, that feels like a lifetime ago. I feel like this season has been so long, but I also want to refer back to something I said on Tuesday about Kofi. Just they still need, obviously with zone, it's a little different on how much Kofi's going to get the ball or be able to work in the paint tonight. But I think it's huge just to get that ball into him or into Georgie every possession and work on those tighter outside passes and work on getting the ball to the open person. Because, if one of the guards has to kind of crash on Kofi if he's a little higher and gets the ball inside, obviously that opens up a ton of space. You already have some more space to shoot in zone. That just opens up even more for maybe even a wide open shot. So I think you can't expect too much, like a huge number from Kofi tonight if they do go out and play zone most of the way. But I think you can expect to still get the ball to him on every, if not 90% of the possessions he's out there.
Yeah, I mean, Kofi's like the essence of this team. When he gets touches inside, this team is better because the other team collapses in, especially with Northwestern zone, which I believe is a 2-3. They're going to collapse on Kofi. And you're going to have shooters like Alan Griffin. You're going to have Trent Frazier. You're going to have Io open. You're also going to have Andres Feliz have driving lanes to attack the rim, which we know he's excellent at. I mean, everything in this game feels like it starts and ends with Kofi. I know Io's crucial to this team, but Kofi's going to play just as big as a role in this game.
I think it's just important to get the ball, move the ball. Mm-hmm. And that's another way to just beat a zone outside of shooting is moving the ball and making the ball, making sure it doesn't stick and getting it around the paint and around the 3-point line and forcing the defense to move quickly. A lot of times when Illinois' offense is having a little bit more success, which is a really relative term because it just isn't very good, comes from when the ball doesn't stick, when Io isn't just dribbling it, or Trent and Andres aren't just dribbling it around the top of the arc, and they're not just doing their 3-man weave handoff. They have to get in a rhythm offensively, and I think that's something that I would really look for tonight early, especially if Northwestern comes out in the zone.
I have a question for you guys, just because not much more to preview about this game. Who do you think is going to be Illinois' leading scorer tonight?
Io. I'll bet Io every single game until the rest of the year because he's averaging 18. He's averaging 21.
I just feel like someone else could step up tonight. I don't know.
He's averaging 21 points a game since his injury, which is two
games.
It's 42 points in 2 games.
Okay, if it's not Io, who do you think is going to be the one to step up?
I'll go with Trent.
Kofi.
I have to agree it's probably going to be Io since he takes 4 more shots per game, but yeah, I'd say Kofi too.
I'm going to say it's a big Alan Griffin night.
That'd be nice.
I'm feeling a big Alan Griffin night.
I want a big Georgie night. That's what I want to see more than anything.
Oh, my dad texted me, and he said...
this would be good.
He said Georgie's jump shot has been raunchy lately. Now that's a good use. There we go.
Good job, Mr. Hajduk. Shout out, Mr. Hajduk.
Shout out, Mr. Hajduk, for
great.
the raunchy. I mean, I think Allen's one of those guys who brings a lot of energy. I know we've talked about him as a whole, but he brings a lot of energy on the road too. Because sometimes feel like Illinois can start out flat on the road, or just in general, they can start out flat a lot. And I think he's one of those guys who, can just one shot, he gets so fired up, and, his teammates love him so much. Like, you always see Trent get fired up, everybody. So I think if he can just, it's up to the 3-point shooting, I think, tonight. I think we can agree with that. Obviously, all the other factors we talked about. But I think Allen has, the spark today. My only concern is, and I know, Alec, you've been in a ton of these press conferences with Underwood. When they come out super flat or even lose a game, and he's like, well, the shoot-around was bad tonight. It was dead in the locker room. That wasn't it against Michigan State. He said that. Or one of those home, or Maryland.
It was Michigan State. He thought against Maryland they had too much energy. And
yeah, at Michigan State, he was like,
Michigan State didn't have enough.
It seemed like someone died before, the game. And I was like, well, that's not something you want to hear. And I feel like we've heard that a couple times from Underwood this season, just saying that the shoot-around was horrible and the energy in the locker room was horrible. So that's my only concern going on the road to Northwestern. You're not? Okay.
No, because they've been so good on the road this season.
I guess.
I
feel like
going
that,
on the road.
That really only happens at home.
I feel like they just play down to their competition. If they're playing Maryland, they're going to show up and play hard. But if they're going to play Nebraska, every game's going to be close.
That's just my worry, is playing down to Northwestern and just going on the road, being on the bus for a couple hours yesterday. I just hope we don't have to hear the quote in about probably 4 hours that the shoot-around was horrible tonight. That's my only concern for this game, and obviously going forward. But
all right, when we come back from the break, we're going to give our picks for tonight's matchup against Northwestern. Just a reminder that Illini Drive is brought to you by the Department of Intercollegiate Athletics, fightingillini.com. Unify, develop, inspire, achieve. We will be back on Illini Drive. Welcome back into Illini Drive. It is the Tuesday-Thursday crew. Illini basketball tonight takes on Northwestern. We spent our first segment previewing that, and before we get to our second segment of the night, we're going to give our picks for tonight's matchup. Nithin, you want to go ahead and go first, or do you want?
Are we doing score predictions too?
Yes, always. For Illinois games, always, yeah.
Just got to check. I'm going to go, I think Illinois is going to blow out Northwestern. I'm going to go 72-57.
Okay, I'll go Illinois 64-54.
I'll go Illinois 66-57.
Do you have them covering?
Yeah,
but
9 points. 9 points.
But not winning by 20?
No, I don't think they're going to do it.
Will you be satisfied tomorrow morning when you wake up?
With if they finish what I finish?
Yeah.
I told you, it depends on how they play throughout the whole game.
If they went on a 9-0 run in the final 2 minutes,
I'm not that satisfied. No.
All right, I've got Illinois 74-65. I think they cover as well. In fact, I'd feel pretty good about them covering. I think it's going to be a pretty pro-Illinois crowd tonight. Tickets are pretty expensive, and obviously there's a lot of alums and Illinois people that live in the Chicagoland area. So I think there's going to be a lot of Illinois people there in an arena that only holds just over 7,000. So it'll be really interesting to see how much orange is in that arena. So looking forward to seeing tonight's matchup. And I know Illinois wants to win it, and they need to win it. They need to avoid bad losses.
It's not a want, it's a need. This is what would that be a quad?
It's not a must-win game, but it's just one of those things where you can't lose games like this.
Yeah,
now.
It's not like the must-win, the season's on the line, but that definitely kills your resume.
No, this
not
goes from
not kills it, but
you would drop a line if you lost.
I don't like this loss at all.
This would be a horrible loss.
It'd be a quad 3 loss.
Yeah.
Which would be their second quad 3 loss.
Yeah, you can't.
The only other is Miami.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they'll win.
We'll see.
I think they'll win, and I think we'll all be pretty satisfied with the way they handle it because I'm not super concerned about it. Gabby, last night you were on the call for the women's basketball game against Michigan State. Michigan State was able to come out with a victory. We ended the Tuesday show talking about facility upgrades around campus and how Josh Whitman has done a really good job creating funding and enough money for all of those various upgrades. And you were talking about a lot how an up-end basketball facility renovation could benefit the women's program more than the men's program because of what Nancy Faye inherited when she was hired 3 years? Yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah.
Her third season.
I actually kind of agree with that. I think the women's basketball program just needs a fresh start, and I think Nancy Faye is part of that fresh start. And getting a new building, obviously, I think could really help them take the next step. But at some point, they have to win, and I think that point could be next season. They're struggling this year. They're really, really struggling this year. But if they get to a point next season where they're around 500-ish in the Big Ten, I think you could see...
They're around 500 in the Big Ten. I will cry my eyes out. Like, they only have 2 Big Ten wins right now. 500 would be, like, amazing.
That's a huge step.
I feel like
that's too big. I need, like, 5 Big Ten wins next year.
How many years do you give her? Like, I feel like she has all the time she wants because she fouled Whitman here from Washington.
So I've talked a lot about this recently to a lot of different people, and the mess Nancy Faye inherited when she came here. I don't want to get too into the background, but there were player abuse allegations on the ex-head coach. It was a really big mess here, and no one really wanted to come to Illinois, obviously following that because that gives the program such a bad connotation. And then you get Nancy Faye in here, who's a legendary Division III coach. Awesome, sent her team to three straight.
She's won it like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, maybe 3 straight national titles. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But she was an amazing coach. And I think she still has that. It's just she walked into a mess. And it's going to take longer to clean up. I thought this year would be better. I really did. I had a lot of higher hopes for them than what they've given. But my thing with them is they play like they play a really good 20 minutes. They play a really good half of a game. And Nithin, you can attest to this. I know you've been covering them for a month or two now. They usually play 2 good quarters.
Yeah, the thing with this team is that they're kind of heavily reliant on three-point shooting, especially with Courtney Jones and Petra Holoshinska, because they're 2 great shooters. But this team's really small, and when you go against like a Purdue or a Michigan where they have these like 6'4", 6'5" bodies, that there's no really answer for from Illinois. It's tough because you can't box out these bigger players, and then inside. Like, if you look at their paint numbers, they're not great. Like, they're just not good at attacking the rim right now. And I think that'll come just with recruiting because this team's simply not talented enough right now. And the thing that's really hard is that they're losing a lot of good seniors, like Brandy Beasley.
Allie Andrews,
potentially Petra, too.
Yeah, that's a really big thing right now, and I talked about it last night. Petra is a redshirt junior. She's leading the team with 13.4 points right now. Amazing 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
She is unsure about whether she's going to take advantage of her last year of eligibility and come back next year. She's the only player right now scoring in double digits for Illinois. So losing her next year would be a huge loss. And, I mean, obviously, if she just wants to go back home, she's been here for 4 or 5 years already. Her family's in the Czech Republic. She's a long ways away from home, but I have a feeling Nancy Faye's not going to let go of her easily. But at the end of the day, if she wants to be home or wants to pursue other things, that's going to happen. But that would be a huge loss because you're already losing your second and third best 3-point shooters, Allie Andrews and Courtney Jones.
Beasley, right?
You're losing Brandy Beasley, who's your literally like the center of the offense. She's great. That's your point guard. She's great. I mean, she has that veteran mentality, that veteran experience. You can always count on her to step up. She hasn't had as big of a role this year, but in past years, her and Alex Whittinger have been Nancy Faye's go-to. The problem is the recruiting. And you have freshmen like Jada Peebles, Kennedy Miles, and Janae Terry, who are all seeing really good minutes. Terry and Miles are starters. They have a bright future, I think. I think they're both 2 aggressive players. They play kind of differently. Kennedy's a forward. Terry's a guard. She can move the ball really well. Janae Terry has some size on her and is pretty built, I would say, for a freshman women's basketball player. She's impressive, and I think they're going to continue to grow, but the problem is the next year's roster is rough.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I mean, losing the amount of talent that they're losing, it's something you can't recover from unless you have a giant recruiting class, which they don't really have right now. I mean, Kennedy Miles, as Gabby talked about, is going to be great next year. And they have some pieces, but if Petra leaves, this team's going to be really gutted.
But at some point, okay, yeah, they have all this talent, but they still can't win more than 10 games.
No, I'm not saying they have all this talent.
No, I know, like they're losing Petra, they're losing Allie. It's like they're good players, but overall, the success hasn't been there. So, playing Janae Terry and all these people for 4 years, I think would be better maybe than just maybe have Petra in there so they win a couple more games.
But, I mean, there's also that role that upperclassmen have with helping underclassmen develop in practice and throughout games. I mean, I think there is value to having that veteran leadership on a team, especially with a player like Petra, because she's one of the best three-point shooters in the Big Ten, and the rest of the team sees that. I mean, she's the one when they win, it's because she's had 27, 28 points in a game.
Yeah, I mean,
she's inconsistent. But when she's on, the Penn State game she took over, there was a few games in non-conference. I remember I think the Merrimack game she went off. I don't know. It's tough. It's a very tough position because they're kind of stuck in purgatory or even hell. This Illinois basketball program.
Yeah, it's kind of like this endless cycle of, okay, they started off non-conference pretty strong this year, and then Big Ten play comes, and it's a huge plummet. And I think, Nancy Faye is one of my favorite coaches to interview on this campus, if not my favorite. She's incredibly insightful and cares so much about her team and cares so much more about her team and growing her team than winning. And obviously that's okay through your first couple of years because she's building out of this mess. But at some point, and I don't really know when that point is, I would have to say next year or the following year, you need to be winning. You need to actually be winning and being a team that other Big Ten teams really value in the conference. And that's just not where they're at right now. And looking at their recruiting class for 2020, they have, I think they're bringing in 3 girls, and I think they're all 3-star recruits. And so it's kind of difficult because if you compare it to, what Underwood's done, he got a big-time recruit in his first couple of years with IO. It's Nancy Faye needs that big-time recruit.
She came close last year.
She did.
She came very close last year. She was in the final 2 with, what was her first name? Her last name was Beal, though. She ended up going to UConn, I think.
I'm not going to lie. I don't remember.
I think it was UConn. I don't know.
But it's just, it hasn't gotten that, not even 5-star, but even a 4-star. I feel like she needs a big-time recruit, but I don't know who's on her staff that really has that pitch because you have Antigua for men's basketball. He's the one who was huge in getting Curbelo. So it's her recruiting staff isn't as strong as it needs to be. And she has a great group of assistant coaches, but someone needs to be able to get out there and use their connections to bring in a big recruit because you see with men's basketball, other big recruits start to follow. When you see one person take a chance and one person do it and start to improve a program, other high school players want to be that person that changes a program. That's not every, but a lot of high school players' dreams. You want to go in and change a program. You want to be the player that improves a program that's, at the bottom right now. So I think recruiting needs to be huge in this offseason. Number one priority. I'm just not quite sure how effective it's going to be.
The recruit they just missed out on, her name was Bree Beal. She was the number 11 overall recruit in the class of 2019 and the number 3 wing in the class. She is from Rock Island, Illinois, and those rankings are from South Carolina's website. That's where she goes to school. She played in the McDonald's All-American game and Jordan Brand Classic game. She was Illinois Player of the Year from Gatorade in 2017, 2018, and 2019, and USA Today in 2019 as well. So she was pretty awarded in her time in high school in Illinois. All right, when we get back, we're going to give our weekend picks. But before we get to that, a reminder that Sunday, March 1st, the Fighting Illini men's basketball team hosts its first ever Stripe the Stadium at State Farm Center for the sold-out game against Indiana. All fans in attendance are encouraged to participate to help Stripe State Farm Center. If you have a ticket to the game, check our seat location. Odd number sections wear orange, even number sections wear blue. For more information and to view the map, please visit fightingillini.com/stripesfc. Let's try and see how good that looks. It looked really good a couple years ago when Memorial Stadium did it. It is Illini Drive. Welcome into Illini Drive. It is our final segment of the week. And, of course, our Thursday tradition continues, a tradition unlike any other, to steal the Masters slogan. I can't wait for the Masters, by the way. Those are coming up in not too long, and I love golf, especially the Masters. We're going to do our weekend picks for various games around the country. I wrote down a couple coming into the show that I thought I found interesting. The first one I wrote down happened to be Wisconsin at number 19, Michigan. Wisconsin currently leads 40-29.
Wait, that's going on right now?
Yeah.
I thought that was later.
Michigan was a minus 6.5 point favorite. So for Michigan to come all the way back and still cover, I think would be quite a shock. So I'll take Wisconsin to cover, and I think they're going to win now too.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Michigan's won 5 straight. I was coming in planning to pick Michigan.
You never know. I mean, we saw last night, as I talked about earlier with Maryland and Minnesota. I mean, this conference is weird this year. So
hard to pick it.
I would have definitely picked Michigan coming in, but they're going to have to mount a pretty sizable comeback to do that. But, again, it wouldn't be shocking at all if they did it.
Get hot in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan is on a big roll right now, and they're...
Wisconsin's doing good, too, though. That's the thing. They're both pretty hot. They both went through their rough patches. Now they're both pretty hot right now.
Yeah, I would definitely, like I said, expect Michigan to win this. They're ranked number 19 right now, which...
That's a little high.
Unranked
to 19.
Yeah,
They weren't ranked last week.
They were unranked. Oh, wait, they were ranked?
I think so, yeah.
I thought they were unranked.
I think they were like 22.
Okay.
I'm
a little surprised that Illinois is currently unranked. I mean, I understand that they only had one game during the week with Penn State, but that was such a big win.
The thing was, Penn State lost to Indiana, though, too. That didn't help Illinois.
I guess.
And then Ohio State beat Ohio State Maryland game. That didn't help Illinois' case for getting re-ranked in the top 25 either.
Illinois was close, though.
Yeah, they were 27th. If they win their other 2 games this week, they'll be ranked. Also, the rankings don't really matter at this point.
At this point, no.
I mean, ranked teams tend to make the tournament. I would say that.
But your seeding has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Who's your pick?
Me? I've got to go with Wisconsin, though. Hold on.
I'm going to go Michigan. They're going to come back.
Of those 2 teams, who do you think makes a deeper run into March?
Oh, Michigan. I think so. I don't like Greg Gard as a tournament coach.
Neither.
Yeah, I want to say Michigan, but honestly, I don't feel great about either.
I don't feel great about either making a deep run.
Oh, I could see Michigan making a Sweet 16.
Ooh.
I kind of agree with Carson, and I hate Michigan more than any school in the country. I think when you have a player like Xavier Simpson, I think you have the ability to do something like that.
I mean, I could see them
Teskey's another really good player.
winning a game, maybe.
They've got good players, but
I don't see Sweet 16. I don't see Sweet 16.
A good point guard, but it's not a guy I trust when I'm down 2.
I think when they have livers, too, that they can play with a lot of teams in the country.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the big guy will be Wagner.
Wagner's a good player.
Good. His brother's better, but
he's won back-to-back Big Ten Freshman of the Week.
Yeah, he's an X Factor.
All right, next one I wrote down. Ohio State takes on Nebraska tonight on the road. Ohio State's minus 9.5. I think we all think Ohio State's going to win this game. Ohio State's come in winning 6 of 8. Nebraska, on the other hand, has lost 12 straight. Doesn't Ohio State cover the 9.5 point spread, guys?
I'm going to say no, because that's pretty high spread on the road.
I'm going to say yeah. They win by like 11 or something.
I'm going to say, obviously, Ohio State wins, but not cover. I think Nebraska's hard to, like, figure out. They're such a new team, obviously, with Hoiberg. But I think they have some really good parts of them, and I think they challenge a lot of teams like we saw against Illinois. I don't think Ohio State wins by more than, like, 7.
Sorry. No, go.
The concern is that Ohio State does have 2 really good bigs, especially in Caleb Wesson. And Nebraska, we've talked about this, they're really small in the front line, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think to be completely honest with you, when Ohio State, in my opinion, is playing well, like they were playing at the beginning of the year, and maybe it's just because they came out of the gates hot and everyone was playing well, I think that they could be one of the better teams in the country, but I don't think they're consistent enough to do it now, and obviously they don't have DJ Carton. With him taking a step away from the program to focus on his mental health, which hats off to that for him. Being able to be brave enough to say something like that, I have a lot of respect for him for doing that. I don't know how Ohio State makes a deep run.
Did you see the Illinois-Ohio State game got picked up by ESPN?
It did, yeah. At 6 o'clock.
Yeah, that'll be cool next Thursday.
It's at Ohio State for you fans wondering, by the way. I take Ohio State, and I think they'll actually cover for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay.
I like the Wesson comment that you made there, Nithin. Also, congratulations to Nebraska for getting Kobe King.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Wisconsin guy.
Yeah.
Fred Hoiberg has already started to recruit that school well, and they're going to be good in a couple of years. They're going to be a problem.
For sure.
Here's an interesting one. Oregon State at number 14, Oregon. Oregon's a 10-point favorite. Oregon comes in winning 3 of 4 in a big win against number 24, Arizona. However, Oregon State's beat Oregon 63-53. And listen to this, guys. I know the Pac-12 is not great, but anytime you have to do this, Oregon State is in the middle of a stretch of playing 4 of the top 5 teams in the Pac-12 in a row. The only one they won't play is UCLA.
I'm going to go Oregon. I think they'll cover.
I agree.
Because, oh my God, Peyton Pritchard is so good.
He's so good.
He's
fun to watch.
Yeah, most people don't watch this Oregon team because they're on so late, but I love watching.
Remember that Michigan game when they played Michigan?
Yeah, he was good. I mean,
even the Arizona game last week, he was
great.
unguardable.
Arizona almost won that. I mean, they probably should have won that game. But, yeah, Peyton Pritchard, he's done this for years, and that guy's just so good, especially when we see him in the tournament. He's going to be special.
Oregon is a team that can make the Final Four. Like, Dana Altman is such a good coach, and like they just made it in 2017. They made the Final Four. That's a team that could go super far. Pac-12 is the most underrated conference in college basketball. I know they have a few ranked people, but I still don't think they're respected. I think Arizona's really good. UCLA is getting really hot. Arizona State with Bobby Hurley, they're starting to win. I think the Pac-12 could actually make some noise in the tournament.
UCLA started to play well too.
UCLA's they might win the conference but miss the tournament because their non-conference was so bad. They were losing like Santa Barbara.
They lost to North Carolina, which this year is a horrible.
No, yeah, they were 7-6 non-conference.
The bottom of the Pac-12 is not good though. I mean, Washington's hard to watch. Oregon State's
Baylor. You know what I mean?
That was like the first week of the season, dude. That doesn't matter.
I know they're not the same team, but like Washington is still like I don't view them as like a Northwestern, Nebraska. You know what I mean? Like they're not that bad.
I mean, yeah, but I would take I'm looking at the Pac-12's bottom 5 teams right now. Utah's 15-13, Cal is 11-16, Washington State's 14-14, Oregon State's 5-12, Washington is 13-15. Like those teams all have better records than Nebraska and Northwestern, but I think that they would just get run in the Big Ten.
I'm not saying the Big Ten's the best conference. All I'm saying is I think the Pac-12 is better than I just think they're better than what people give them respect for.
The top end's better, but yeah, the bottom's really bad this year. I mean, it's been really bad for the past couple of years, and
SEC's bad. Kentucky's gonna win the conference by 3 games, and they're gonna get like a 5 seed or 4 seed maybe. That's what I've seen in bracketology. Everything Kentucky's getting a 4.
I don't know. That seems I haven't checked that, so I can't really argue per se. But what I've seen from Kentucky, they look like
they're good.
Seed. Yeah, they're a good team. And Auburn, they got LSU, who is leading.
Florida's good. Florida's starting to play better at least.
It's spread out this year. I mean, last year it felt like the ACC was the dominant conference, and you saw that with teams like Virginia and Duke. But this year,
it's the Big Ten and Big East, and then a whole bunch of everything else.
And even that, like the Big Ten and the Big East, don't really have that top end team.
Yes, I agree.
They have just really good depth.
Yeah, Gabby, who you got? Oregon or Oregon State?
Oregon. I would say cover too, right? It was 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say cover. Oregon's really good.
All right, moving to Saturday. This one's interesting. Number 16, Penn State travels to number 18, I believe, Iowa.
Are we skipping Dayton?
Yeah, who cares? They're going to win. Okay.
Obi Toppin.
Dayton by a lot. They're playing Davidson.
But Obi Toppin. We just got to talk about it for 20 seconds.
All right, fine. Dayton by whatever the cover is and take it.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, that's all.
All right, Saturday, Penn State travels to, I think, number 18, Iowa. Each team's 2-2 in their last 4.
Ooh, that'll be so good.
It'll be a really good game. But Iowa's 13-1 at home. I've got Iowa to cover when the line comes out, assuming it's decent.
4.5 probably. It'll probably be like 4.5.
Yeah, I think it's going to be around 4.5, 5, somewhere in that range.
If it's that, yeah, I'd agree. I mean, Luka Garza's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to take Iowa on the road.
Yeah, Iowa.
I mean, at home. Iowa at home for sure.
Penn State's falling.
They're good, though. They're not Rutgers falling, though.
No, but they're not
Rutgers
playing
is-
well.
They're not top 10 good.
Rutgers
Penn
is
State.
kind of falling apart.
They're not going to make the tournament.
Kind of falling
Kind of
apart.
falling apart. Oh.
All right, back to the SEC talk. Number 15, Auburn travels to number 8, Kentucky. Kentucky's won 7 in a row. Auburn is 2-2 in their last 4 and got really lucky against Tennessee last week. Give me Kentucky.
This Auburn team's hard to pick.
Yeah, it is. I feel good about them, and then I'm like, why do you keep playing
Well,
poorly?
Madison's dad is an assistant coach, so I'm going with Auburn.
Is she going to
Shout
be in
out
attendance?
Madison on The
That's such a good
Bachelor.
point.
Will she be in
They
attendance?
get it.
That just
Yes,
because
let's
Gabby
go.
Will she be in
Nithin.
attendance?
Probably, yeah. I feel like she probably goes to a
Well,
lot
if
of
she
the
won
games.
the show, she can't be in
Yeah, is
attendance.
she allowed to make public appearances?
Yeah.
No,
Just
they
not
put you in
with
hiding.
Peter. They don't go in hiding.
Yes, they do.
They,
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure they're in like an apartment somewhere.
In the middle of nowhere, and they
For
have their
months?
food like delivered to them and
Yeah.
For
everything. Yeah.
months? This show's been done for months. You're kidding me. Peter's been out in
Well, I
public.
guess maybe not together. It might be. Not.
Yeah, I think they can be out in public. Just no. Madison's been at Auburn making TikToks. Haven't you seen?
No, I don't have TikTok.
I thought those are old because I've seen those
Really?
videos.
Whatever. Well, whatever. Just because of Madison, I'm going Auburn.
I'm going to Kentucky.
Kentucky gets revenge. It's at Rupp.
Yeah, that too. That place is going to be electric too. Number 7, Duke at Virginia. Duke's 1-2 in their last 3 and 7-3 on the road this season. They look bad right now. Maybe the worst 3-game stretch in Duke history under Coach K. Like that sounds like a hot take, but like it might be. Like they got really lucky against Vatek. They got
North Carolina.
yeah.
I mean, considering the competition, yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
And NC State was probably the worst loss in Coach K's career.
Oh, come on. That's not his worst loss.
He lost by 20 points to NC State.
NC State's a winning bat. That's not the worst. Like, Stephen F. Austin is a worse loss than
Yeah, that's
that.
true.
Stephen F. Austin's better than NC State though.
Come on. Like
Mercer,
Mercer,
No,
Lehigh.
tournament's different, though. Tournament's completely
Yeah, that's
different.
true.
Well, fine. When Okafor won the national title, they lost to Miami that year at home.
NC State, though, by 20.
NC
You got to
State's a
factor in the
bubble
fact
team.
that it's 20 points though, and the only reason they're a bubble team is because they beat Duke. I'm going to take Virginia because
gonna
it's
take-
at
they could
Virginia.
win.
Virginia's a 10 seed right now, according to Lenardi. They could just boost their resume.
Virginia's also a team that'll just slow down the game. That pack line defense.
They're so hard to watch.
They're in the past, like last couple of years, they've been fun because the offense has been good. But when the offense is this bad, and when like Kihei Clark is your number one guy, or Mamadi Diakite, I mean that's so rough.
Yeah,
It's
just hard
I
to
have
pick
a
against
hard
Duke.
I'm gonna
time
take
thinking that Duke's gonna like continue to
See, that's
lose
what I-
this close
that's
to
what
the
I thought, too.
tournament. I might take Duke. I'm gonna take Duke.
I wouldn't be terrified if Illinois had to play Duke in the tournament.
I
I wouldn't pick us to win though.
No.
No, but I don't hate that matchup. I'd rather play Duke than other teams.
I would hate to play Kansas.
I'd rather play Duke over
Yeah.
Kansas. I'd rather play Duke over Kentucky. I'd rather play Duke over Gonzaga and Baylor.
Duke over Dayton, honestly.
Yeah, I would take him over Dayton for sure.
Really? I know, but Duke's just so like.
He'd kill us.
Yeah.
I don't know. Duke's hard to pick against because they're
Duke.
They have it.
They're Duke.
I feel like Coach K's built this this thing, like where like you always fear them, but in reality, they've made one Final Four since I was in 8th grade.
Everyone take a guess at the last time Duke won the ACC.
2010.
Wow.
I've heard that so much.
Oh wait, 2015 they didn't win it.
No,
they
won.
Boom,
The
got
last time they won,
that was the
ACC was 2010.
That was outright.
I kind of feel like there is this like sense about Duke that like they're always just like the number one team, but they're really not.
Yeah, but they're
it's
the
like
people
what,
are like, oh, Duke hasn't won the ACC since 2010. They're not a blue blood. Wrong. Like they're a top 10
they're a
program
top
every year.
team always. What's that word? It's not like placebo effect, but it's like, oh my god, it's like, I don't know, whatever. But it's like you ignore me. Keep going. Ignore me.
North Carolina has been a better program in the past 10 years, easily.
Well, yeah, they've won 2 national titles. All right, last one. Let's get it quick so we can get and watch the game. Number 19, Michigan travels to Ohio State. Ohio State won 61-58 in the first game, which was in Ann Arbor. Give me Ohio State.
I'm going to go Michigan this one. I think they're going to bounce back after what looks like a loss to Wisconsin at this point.
Wait, Ohio State plays Saturday?
Sunday.
Oh, we're on Sunday now. You skipped?
Oh, Michigan State, Maryland.
Yeah, Michigan State, Maryland on Saturday.
Bad. Yeah, I did skip that one. Maryland. Sorry.
Sparty.
Yeah, give me
I kind of feel Michigan State on that one.
You took Michigan State
give
too?
me MSU. Cassius Winston. I like the way he's been playing.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm the only one taking Maryland.
They just lost to Maryland. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah, I feel like
It's close, though.
It's at Maryland.
yeah.
That's why I'm
They're up by-
taking
I
Maryland.
know, but it's crunch time. It's time to beat these Maryland
It's
teams
Izzo
on the
time.
road. Let's go.
All right, last one. Let's get it quick. Michigan at Ohio State. I've got Ohio State.
I've got Michigan.
Ohio State.
Michigan.
Michigan?
I think, Michigan.
I don't like that team, so I won't pick them unless I have to. All right, that's all the time we have for this edition of Illini Drive. Just a reminder, it is brought to you by the Department of Intercollegiate Athletics. And we're going to be back on Monday for Illini Drive to recap 2 Illini basketball games. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good weekend, everyone.